Project 2025 is Trump and Vance's 900 plus page anti-freedom agenda crafted by the Heritage Foundation and Trump's far-right extremist allies. It's clearly a Trump-driven operation, and Vance has praised it as containing good ideas. Bottom line, it's a roadmap intended to guide a new Trump presidency, and as has become clear, it accurately reflects what Trump stands for, including attacking healthcare, workers' rights, and dismantling federal programs. Because of the dangerous threat that Project 2025 poses to most Americans, we've published an extensive series of blogs at leantotheleft.net, putting all of this in perspective, issue by issue. That series has been researched and written by Lean to the Left contributing writers C.J. Waldron and Susan V. Hutchinson. They're with us today to share their findings. Susie and Chris, welcome. Thanks for being with us here today.
Yeah, thanks, Bob.
Hey, now, after all of this work that you've done, what's your overall takeaway regarding Project 2025 and what it seeks to accomplish? Chris, you want to go first?
It's a dangerous blueprint for all the things they would do, starting with revamping how government employees are hired and fired based not on their qualifications, but their loyalty to Trump. And there's so many other proposals in there that would totally revamp education. It would revamp DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. It would basically destroy them. And also change how government is funded based on how you are seen as being in favor of whatever policies they have. So it's a dangerous thing that they're trying to put out. And even though they're trying to distance themselves from it, the more they say, yes, Trump about what do you think of Project 2025, and they'll start going on about she's got no policies, and as far as any policies I've got, well, at least they're not 2025. So and then I go on to talk about how he looks better than her and she's stupid and whatever.
Right.
Never answer the question.
Yeah. What's your take, Susie?
I don't know about you guys, but I started reading it. I almost lost my voice screaming at my tablet because I could not believe somebody was actually putting something like this in writing. Yeah. And it's I see it as the anti-federalist papers. That's how I view it.
Yeah, it is basically, you're right there.
Yeah, it really is. It is so un-American and unpatriotic for a bunch of people who claim to be patriots and true Americans.
Right.
And it's just absolutely just appalling. And I love when Tim Walz said, you don't make a playbook unless you intend to use it. So for anybody who says they're not going to do anything, they're lying to themselves.
Not only are they lying to themselves, they're lying to the American people.
American people. Yeah. And it's just, I don't know. This overall thing is it is going to tear this country apart.
Yeah.
Literally tear this country apart. And it's going to give rise to more of these, and I call them domestic terrorists. I don't call them militias, to go out and say, we can do whatever we want. We can start killing people and nobody's going to do anything about it because there won't be a Department of Justice anymore.
Yeah.
That's the most terrifying part of it for me.
So that's what you would think would be the most dangerous provision of Project?
I think so, is getting rid of the rule of law, because basically this whole country is based on rule of law.
Right.
And without it, all the Trump loyalists get off on everything, no matter what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the danger to me. There's a lot of other things in there too. Sure. I can't just pick one, but I think overall it's the whole thing about the Department of Justice.
Yeah. Chris, how about you? What's your take?
It's first that they talk about intervention about the Supreme Executive, which is basically giving the executive branch unlimited power. And like Susie said, getting rid of the Department of Justice, or even using it as a militant arm of the government, where he'll send it after enemies, or he will use the FBI to investigate people who say something bad. Hey, we could be investigated.
Yeah.
based on what we're doing right now.
Yeah. So who do you think would benefit the most from Project 2025?
Absolutely. Trump and his loyalists, they would get the benefit of having a stronger say in government.
Mhm.
They put in place certain voter restrictions to make it impossible to vote them out of power.
Yeah.
They're talking about making it harder to vote instead of easier. They got this boogeyman, the southern border, which is just a distraction from corporate America taking more money. So instead of saying the reason you don't have any money is because these immigrants coming in. And so all these things are just very dangerous. And because I'm a teacher, it starts with education and the education of our young.
Yeah.
And they talk about indoctrination, but that is exactly what they're going to be doing if they take control of our classrooms and they create this other boogeyman of critical race theory. I have taught in public schools for almost 30 years, and I've never had critical race theory in my curriculum. So it's a made up thing. It's not a made up thing. It's actually a law school subject.
Yeah. Okay. Susie, your thoughts?
I think some of the people, not just Trump and the people he's going to put in government and get rid of all the civil servants and only hire people that are loyal to him. I think it's people like Elon Musk, who is probably right now the second most dangerous person in America.
Yeah.
And somebody needs to go look at the Wharton School of Business because him and Trump both graduated from there. And I want to know what they're teaching out there.
Yeah. I wonder how Trump made it through that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a pretty tough school.
He had a rich daddy. He had a rich daddy.
Yeah,
That's
somebody.
how he
Yeah,
made it.
probably.
But yeah, I think Musk, who controls a huge social media platform
Yeah.
and can spread disinformation and
Yeah.
do whatever the hell he wants because he has no restrictions.
Yeah.
The EU is fighting him. I don't know if you read that. The EU has been telling him he's stoking violence in the UK on Twitter, and he basically turned around and told them to go F themselves.
Yeah.
So I think people like him, and there's going to be more people like him that are going to bubble up if Trump takes power again.
Yeah. Don't you think, though, that if 2025 went into effect, that the real winners would be the wealthy and the
Yes.
corporations? Huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And inflation would be rampant because corporate greed there'd be no control over corporate greed. There isn't any now. It's trying to get curtailed, but there's only so much you can do. And Trump's going to just open the floodgates.
You know what I've been thinking, and that is that, and I don't know, some people say that that it's a conspiracy theory, but when the Republicans began to complain about inflation, who was responsible for jacking up the prices? It was the people that support the Republican Party. It was the corporations. It was big business. And I wonder if there wasn't some kind of a plan to make that happen.
Oh, absolutely. When the coronavirus restrictions, they wanted to find a way to make up for the losses they were getting over those years, and then it just steamrolled.
Yeah.
And now it's more and more higher prices and higher corporate profits, but the distraction is they want to say, look at the border.
Yeah. Tell me this, do you guys think that the people that would be hurt the most are those very people who are Trump's strongest supporters?
Yes. But they don't know it.
They don't know
They're
it.
completely blind to it because they think he's got them conned to think that he is going to take care of them when he gets in power again. And the first thing he's going to do is go, yeah, I don't need you anymore. You gave me what I wanted. I'm going to treat you like I'm going to treat everybody else in this country who's not like me.
Yeah.
And they either are blind to it or they truly believe he is going to take care of them.
Yeah. I just find it such a contradiction
Yeah.
when I drive out into the countryside here in South Carolina and I see these broken down shacks that people live in with big old pickup trucks out in the front and gigantic Trump signs on them. Those people that live in those kind of places without the resources to do any better, they are the very people, in my opinion, that would be hurt the most if Trump
But
gets
they
into
haven't,
office and implements this 2025.
haven't they been conned for generations by the Republicans, though? So it's indoctrinated and ingrained in their DNA by now.
You know what? That's probably true. That's probably true.
Like,
Now,
people,
go ahead, Chris.
the people that are trying to control education and the fact that controlling how they think and what they think
Yeah.
is going to be important in getting them on their side. And talk to your brother who is evangelical Christian and his church is telling him, oh, you've got to do it this way, you've got to do it that way. Tax the damn church. If they're going to be a political arm, do it that way. But so many
Exactly right.
people are being told how to think
Yeah.
and what to think.
Yeah.
And the government doesn't want free thinkers. It wants people who are, and that's why they're so against something like what they try to slam as critical race theory by saying you think this way because we'll tell you how to think and tell you what to say, and everything will be fine.
Mhm. Susie, what do you think about the Republicans' intrusion into our personal lives? Do they really want to somehow regulate contraception, for crying out loud, monitor
Yes,
people's pregnancies, and
yes,
potentially prosecute them if they miscarry? Really?
yes, yes. In a heartbeat, in a heartbeat, because these so-called Christians with their so-called morality fail to understand the concept that not everybody can get pregnant naturally. They need IVF.
Right.
You want to be able to determine when you want to have a baby, not if you want to have a baby, but when you want to have it.
Mm-hmm.
They want to tell people you don't have that choice. You need to just cross your legs or do whatever. But the minute women start withholding sex from their husbands and their boyfriends, then guess what's going to happen? They're all going to be up in arms going, you can't do that. You can't do that. Oh my God, it's our right.
Yeah.
So it's just horrible. It's just absolutely horrible that women are the biggest target one of the biggest targets right now in this country for these policies. And what did we ever do to them?
Yeah.
Except just be women. I guess they want to take us back to the 1950s or 1800s or whenever,
Yeah.
when women didn't have jobs, and they did have jobs. They were cleaners or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, it's scary stuff for women, the future women. How many what? Oh, I don't have any cats. I'm allergic.
Oh, Susie, you mean you're not a single cat lady?
No, I'm just a single liberal lady, which I guess is just as bad.
Oh, I don't know. Vance, I don't know. Then he had to come back and say he really likes cats.
What the hell does that mean?
Oh,
That wasn't an apology. I'm sorry.
you know what? Kamala Harris's selection of Tim Walz, a guy he and his wife had to have IVF in order to have their daughter, who was
Yes.
who was at the convention right there with them, as testament to what
Yeah.
good that treatment can provide.
And did you know that the Obamas used IVF?
No,
I
I
didn't
didn't
find
know
that out.
that.
Michelle Obama said it the other night. I did not know that.
Wow.
They're trying to get on Walsh because he didn't technically use IVF. He used something like an intrauterine and something similar to it, but not exactly the same procedure. Of course, they're trying to say he's a liar.
Yeah, they're trying to pick up on any single
Oh, yeah.
little thing. It's incredible. But I just can't believe I I can just see it now. You're in your bedroom with your partner and you're getting ready to have some fun, and you look over the corner and there's JD Vance sitting, making sure you're not using a rubber. What do you think about that?
Or sitting pulling holes in.
Oh man. All right. Susie, your piece on healthcare says that Project 2025 includes a plan for healthcare companies to make even bigger profits every year. Talk about that a little bit, would you please?
Okay. In one sentence, Medicare choices for seniors will be taken away.
Okay.
Because right now you have a choice of how you want to get your Medicare. You
Mhm.
can get A and B plus a supplemental plan,
Mm-hmm.
or you can get a Medicare Part C, which is the Advantage plan.
Right.
Those are your choices.
Mm-hmm.
They want everybody to go to Medicare Part C, which is basically private insurance.
Right.
And private insurance will always say, my profits are more important than your health
Yeah.
and your well-being.
Mm-hmm.
We don't care if you die, we're not paying for it.
Right.
And, the getting rid of the cap on insulin, getting rid of the cap that's supposed to come in, I think it's next year, $2,000 a year for Medicare Part D prescription insurance.
Right.
They want all of that taken away. And all that says to me is they want drug companies to make more profits. They want healthcare insurance companies to make more profits, and at the expense and the cost of millions of senior people across the country, and a million more right behind them that are retiring now. So that's what I saw.
That is really, Chris, do you have any comments about that piece?
I mean, I'm approaching the age where I'm going to have to go on Medicare. I feel like it's going to affect me personally. And I look at all these commercials for Medicare Advantage, and it's a scam. It is. And it's all about private insurers making, like Susie said, making the profits.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of saying, you paid into Medicare all these years with your payroll taxes,
Right.
we're going to take that away from you.
Right.
So I would feel, what's it all for?
The ads for Medicare Advantage are misleading. They promise the sun, the moon, and the stars, and they tell you that it'll cover everything you need to cover. What they don't tell you is that you go to the hospital and you've got a serious injury, and you're going to end up with a great big surprise bill at the end.
And the other thing, when you read several sections of this that I read, especially the healthcare part, I got a very clear idea. They have no idea how Medicare works in this country.
Yeah.
They really do not. They're just throwing stuff out there because they don't like it and they want to get rid of it and they want it to be profitable.
Yeah.
But having gone through this process 2 years ago or 3 years ago now, let me tell you, if I didn't have a broker, because I have an autoimmune disease and I have really high drug plan, I had to have enough to cover my injectable, which is $6,000 a month. Yeah, this is the reality of being a senior in this country.
Yeah.
Is at some point you are going to have to need those drugs that all say the drug company can help you with your cost, but they don't help you if you are on Medicare. You're on your own for Medicare.
Yeah.
But what the broker told me that I thought was really important for people to know is that if you were on if I had signed up for Medicare Part C and it didn't work for me for
Mhm.
whatever reason, and I wanted to go back,
Mm-hmm.
I would have to reapply for Medicare. And because I have a pre-existing condition, I probably would not be able to get supplemental coverage. I would only be stuck with Medicare A and B, and I would have no choice.
And
And-
if you were able to get supplemental, the price would be through the roof.
Oh, the premiums would be through the roof.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
I know.
But yeah, navigating Medicare, my friends and I talk about this all the time, how it's just horrendous.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'd rather live with that system than be forced to go into a Part C plan
Mhm.
where my premium will maybe zero, but my out-of-pocket cost for the year might be $20,000.
Yeah.
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 It's like what they offered as a solution to the coronavirus when they told people, the old people should just get sick and die.
Susie, you did a separate piece about abortion. Talk about that.
Yeah, the crazy thing about that document, one of the crazy things about that document, there's a whole lot of crazy in there. It's written by different people. At the beginning, there's one guy who talks about, yes, they want a national abortion ban. But then when you get through the document, you read, they don't talk about an actual abortion ban. They put it in different contexts and try not to use the word national abortion ban for
Mhm.
whatever reason. And it's a way for Trump to say, no, I'm not calling for a national abortion ban. But then the key part, and I people really need to understand, is they're already working on it, but they're doing it in a subtle way that people are not realizing. And that's why I wanted to talk in that article about Congressional Bill HR 431, which is the Life at Conception Act,
Okay.
where Congress wants to define when a human being becomes a human being.
You mean the Republicans in Congress?
The Republicans in Congress. They want to say a human being is, if a sperm and an egg come together, automatically that's a human being.
Right.
Not scientifically valid.
Right.
It's politically motivated and morally motivated. It has nothing to do with science.
Yeah.
And by doing that, once you claim that person as a human, because it's conceived in the United States, it's now a United States citizen. And now they want to take the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, which was intended for slavery, and use that to say, hey, they're human beings under the 14th Amendment. They're protected nationally. So basically, the roll-on effect from that would be any blue states that have abortion legal, they can say, no, you're killing an American citizen, and under 14th Amendment, you're not allowed to do that. And they want to override the states' rights for those states.
Okay.
And that is, they keep saying, I want the states to determine this. I want the states to determine that. But then in the background, they're going, but I'm going to make a federal law to override those states, and I don't like what they're doing. And that's what this whole Life at Conception Act is setting up for.
Is there stuff in 2025 that calls for prosecution of women who have abortions, of doctors who provide abortions?
I think there is. I couldn't cite exactly where it is.
Yeah.
But I believe
that
there is.
What did you say, Chris?
Let's talk about that. There's stuff in the introduction that mentioned that. And they don't use the term abortion. They use the term pro-family.
Okay. Okay.
A lot of times they try to coach it in terms that, just like J.D. Vance the other day when he was asked about a young lady who was raped by her stepfather. And he was, why would they want to have something that horrible happen? Why are they even talking about it? So he totally flipped the script on that.
Right.
And the way they're trying to flip the script on abortion is saying we're thinking of the life of the child and being pro-family. It doesn't matter where it's rape or incest.
Yeah. All that stuff about contraception and their claim that, as Susie said, when a sperm and an egg come together, that's a human life. And if they're serious about wanting to prosecute people, what would they do to men who pleasure themselves? That sperm is going nowhere. And so are they killing a baby?
No, because men can't carry babies.
Oh, okay.
It's so convenient out for them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, men will get off scot-free. Just like rapists in this country get off scot-free, they get a slap on the wrist. It's all skewed towards the white. It's usually white male power and control, and that's basically what it is. But the worst part is for not having exceptions for incest and rape, and you're talking about an 11 and 12-year-old child, and forcing that child to carry a baby is child abuse, pure and simple.
They talk about Project 2025 being a blueprint written by white Christian nationalists, and something like trying to decide when life begins. There really is Christian in read the Bible. In Genesis, it says life begins at first birth. They didn't just completely ignore that part.
Yeah.
So they want to decide when and where. And that's what they said. It's about controlling women.
Yeah, it is. There's no doubt about that.
And the worst part is listening to these women that were talking the other night about how their life was at risk because they had an ectopic pregnancy. There's no chance of survival for that fetus or however collection of cells it is at that point. But they were willing to let the mother die just to save a baby that wasn't a baby. That's just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay, Chris, you did write a piece, one of your articles for our series was entitled A White Christian Nation. Have you covered what you wanted to say about that? That was a really good piece, by the way.
Thank you. It's trying to say that because they're under God, or in God we trust in our money, or the Pledge of Allegiance says under God, which is only a reaction to the Soviet expansion in the 1950s. It wasn't the original pledge.
Right. That's true. That's true.
But they're trying to say that, yes, we are a Christian nation. And no, we're not. If you want to go live in a country that is ruled by religion, Go to Afghanistan. Go to Iran.
Yeah.
Go to countries that are theocracies that instead of saying we have a God-given, they would say this, we have a God-given right to our guns, we have a God-given right to do this. They justify it, and they justify any sort of persecution they can heap on people. They've justified trying to take over education by eliminating what they call critical race theory, which it's history, saying you're denying that slavery exists. I think one of the speakers the other day said slavery was not a work study program or something along those lines.
Exactly. A little more serious than that. Okay. Now, our series covers topics we've discussed so far today, plus the America First agenda, education, children and the family, Social Security, the blessings of liberty, decimating the federal workforce, which you've touched on, Chris, and the environment. You guys can find all of those articles at leantotheleft.net, and I encourage you to do that. The pieces are well done. Chris and Susie did a fantastic job of putting these together, researched, connecting them to other developments in Congress and proposed developments in Congress, etc., and the implications that would take place if these things were actually implemented. Now, so I encourage you to check out the series. Once again, it's at leantotheleft.net, which is our blog site that supports this podcast. Now, Susie and Chris, do you have any other thoughts about Project 2025 and the threats that it poses and what people can do about it? Anything at all?
The more that Donald Trump tries to deny it, how can you deny that 140 people who were connected to his administration were associated with it? How can you deny that he jumped on a plane to go meet with the primary author of Project 25 and discuss strategy? How can you deny that many of his policies in Project 2025 are reflected in his Agenda 47, which is on his website? There's so much to be denied by him saying, I don't know about it.
Yeah, but a lot of it's in their own platform, their own Republican platform, almost word for word. Is that not the case?
That is the case, but he's going to continue to deny it, and his followers are going to continue to believe it.
Yeah, for sure.
But discussed with my brother, the same thing. And I said, what about Project 2025? Oh, he denied that. He denied it. Like,
yeah.
I knew there was nowhere to go with that conversation.
Yeah. Susie, do you have any other thoughts?
Yeah, Trump knows about Project 2025, but everything else, does he really know what's in it? I have very serious doubts that he's ever read it, that he actually knows any details about what's in it.
Sure.
All he knows is what people tell him. And the fact that he has 140 people putting his plan together tells me very clearly he has no clue how to be a president. He has no clue how to run a country. He has two things: grievances and power that he craves and that he wants.
Right.
And he wants somebody else to just say, here, this is what we're going to do, so he can rubber stamp it. So basically they're using him as a puppet, and he's a willful puppet to them because he has no clue and he's not smart enough to do any of this on his own.
Yeah. Chris, you've made the point many times that he needs to win this election to stay out of prison.
And it's about running the country.
Yeah.
He really doesn't care about running the country.
Yeah.
He only cares about himself. And he has his followers, he's got his base, and he's being used as a pawn by the white evangelical movement to try to get their policies in place.
Right.
As Susie said, he's not smart enough to be president, but he's malleable enough to be a pawn. They're going to shape him into whatever he wants to be, put him out there and say, okay, you say the words.
Yeah.
And listen to some of his speeches.
Yeah.
They're not coherent.
No, they're not.
They are not focused.
And they're getting worse and worse, too.
Yeah, and that's the elephant in the room, his dementia.
He's demanding that Kamala comes up with policies, and he has none of his own except Project 2025.
Yeah, okay. Guys, I really appreciate you coming on and doing this. And once again, you folks who are listening and watching, please check out these articles because they are well worth your time. Trust me on that. And it was a project that we decided was important, and I believe in it. And please check it out. Once again, it's at leantotheleft.net. Thanks very much. Hey guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this Lean to the Left video and you found it interesting and informative. Please visit on a regular basis and check out our interviews with guests on topics that focus on progressive politics and the important social issues of our time. Now, our interview shows stream on Mondays with special episodes on Thursdays. And you can check out upcoming shows, guests, and topics at podcast.leantotheleft.net. Subscribe to our audio version there and to our video shows here at YouTube. And follow us on social media. Facebook at Bob Gaddy and the Lean to the Left podcast. Now, it's two. Bob Gaddy is one Facebook page, and the Lean to the Left podcast is a second Facebook page. Twitter at Lean to the Left 1. Instagram at Lean to the Left 1, TikTok at Lean to the Left, LinkedIn at Bob Gaddy, and YouTube at Lean to the Left. Now, I hope you'll support Lean to the Left as well so we can keep things going. Just click on the Donate tab at the top of the leantotheleft.net homepage and contribute by buying me a cup of coffee. That'll really help and would be much, much, much appreciated. Now, this is Bob Gaddy signing off for Lean to the Left. Thanks for sharing your time with us.